Hey everybody, how's it going? I have James Paquette.
Paquette, yeah.
James Paquette. He is from Clovis, New Mexico. He is are you an engineer? Or
I'm an engineer.
He is an engineer for BNSF out there. And we've been in contact for a while about getting together and doing this. And so he showed up today, had us a little grub down at Keene, and we're going to chase some trains today, as usual, as I always say. It's his day, so we're going to go wherever he wants, and we'll see where that turns out. He's got a drone, so we'll get some footage with that, and maybe we'll have a aerial drone fight or something.
There you go. Sounds good.
But anyway, so yeah, beautiful day today. Oh my gosh, it's just perfect. So looking forward to hanging out and catching some trains. All right, here we go. All right, first train today. This is the one that's been broke down. It's a UP train, but looks like they brought the manned helpers that they keep on duty at Mojave for the grain and oil trains up here, put on the front of this. I don't know what the problem was, but they've been down here for about at least 3 hours that they were stopped. Well, when I was leaving yesterday from the doing depot duty, I saw a UP coming up through Woodford, an auto rack with one unit on the head end. Now, I don't know if they only had one unit on this one to start with. But that's what it looks like. I know it wasn't a very long train, but nevertheless, I have always thought that just using one unit, and the one I saw with the one unit with the auto rack for was going down the hill. This one was coming up, and so was the one yesterday. But I've seen them running down the hill with one unit before, but that seems really risky. Yeah, that seems really risky coming up the hill. James over there, he's got his drone up. That UP locomotive is not running. You see that this is not a very long train, and so far all the cars that I've noticed appear to be empty. So I guess maybe that's why they thought they could get away with just using one locomotive. I would try that and I'd chop my hand off or something.
I sliced my hand right there once. It wasn't good.
Moved up here to Marcel. Driving up towards the tunnels, and after that last eastbound went by, the one that was broke down, we heard a horn sounding down at Woodford, so I assumed that they were going to bring him up, but they obviously stopped him at Woodford, and we were driving up towards the tunnel to catch him, and missed westbound that was before this. So trying to come back down here. I thought I'd bring James down here because it's one of the places where you can see more of the train. We're right down at the bottom of Lower Marcel Road. For some weird reason I like brake smell. I was commenting to James that I was surprised that I hadn't seen any of the security people yet, because usually if there's an unfamiliar vehicle around, they'll send somebody down to investigate. But they probably had them stationed along all these trains that have been stopped while that other train was dealing with its problem. So I'm sure we'll bump into one or two of them before the day's over. I think from here, catch this eastbound that coming up, or James wants to go down to the spot above Tunnel 5. Pull the cams up and see where everybody is. It's a weekend, so my sources are not working, and I'm not going to bother them on their days off. here are the URLs to my PayPal and my Patreon. If you can help channel out that way, I'd sure appreciate it. All right, let's see what happens next. All right. And here, just above East Woodford at the fourth crossing of Tehachapi Creek. James down there. Trying to take him to, he doesn't have many preferences. He wants to go up above Tunnel 5, but other than that, I'm just taking him where I think some cool shots are. Get a chance to see a little meat here. This is the third westbound. Since they cut everybody loose, they've run no eastbounds. This fourth crossing of Tehachapi Creek is the one that caused the bigger problems in the 1932 flood that saw at least 16 people lose their lives. I still plan on doing a piece about that at some point, but I'm so far behind right now just on getting things edited. I get so far behind this summer. But I will get that done, as well as a piece on the history of how they watered the locomotives in the steam era here at Woodford. I know, promises, promises. Another short train. Up here above Tunnel 5. There you go, Jacob Pfeiffer. James and his father used to come up here all the time. James' father was an airline pilot, so they got to fly for free. So they would take weekend trips from his home in Kansas out here just to Railfan for a weekend. And That was pretty cool. But he said they came out here 22 times over the years to watch trains. And he showed me a couple of photographs that were taken right here in 1994 with him and his father, with Tunnel 5 in the background, one of them, and then with looking down towards Tunnel 3 in Bealville and the other one. So yeah, I took a photograph for him of him standing there. He lost his father in 2010. And so yeah, he said this is a pretty sentimental trip for him, and I get that. So yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it. Glad to be a part of this with him. Yeah, there are still trains stacked up all over the place. There was one leaving Waylong when we left Woodford, so they've obviously stopped him somewhere else. There was an eastbound stopped at Rowan, and I don't know if they've cut him loose ahead of this guy or not, probably. And there's another eastbound down at Caliente. So they're all over the place, and as I always say, with the slow speed limits up here, you can get a chance to catch a bunch of them, maybe all of them, in different places, or maybe one in a bunch of different places. Was talking about the security people. As we were leaving Woodford, I did see one of them coming into Woodford, but that train had been sitting at Woodford for a while, so he may have just been, he or she, that person may have been just kind of doing the patrol on that train because it sat there for a considerable length of time. Right now we're not on railroad property right now, we're on Mike McCarthy's property. Thank you, Mike, for letting me come up here all the time. All right, come down here into the Cali Creek Narrows. Trying to figure out some places that James hasn't been. And for someone who's been up here over 20 times, that's kind of hard to do. relatively short train. We have seen a lot of those today. Almost every train. All right. All right. Well, we have this. I don't know if this is an alcohol or an oil train yet, because I haven't seen the placards. But he is pulling up to a stop here. West Rowan. Wait for the eastbound that we're waiting for. Alright, here comes our eastbound. James told me that this train, I can't remember where he said its origin is, but it's going to Willow Springs, Indiana. And those first cars, I think that's what he said. Maybe that was a different train, I don't know, but those cars are loaded with carrots in the front. One of the other questions that he answered for me was in the last video I did with the drone footage where I talked about the sanders and whether they could control all the locomotives. He said that the sand is only delivered to the lead axle. Ah! I wish I had my earplugs on. He said, yeah, it's an automatic feature unless you're going, I think he said under 20 miles an hour, you can do it manually. James has his drone up. Give him some pointers on where to send it to get some cool shots. So hope he got what he was looking for. guy loose? I guess we'll find out. All right, come up here to cable. And when we were at Rowan a minute ago, they did cut that oil train loose. And it was a crude oil train headed for Bakersfield. But yeah, we decided to come up here and jump ahead of this guy, catch one coming up. This is the one that, the eastbound that we caught at Rowan. The harsh lighting. All right. Up here, tunnel 17. Below cable, get a shot of James. 17. Saw the locomotives went around the curve when I was looking the other way. West Cable is, well, just Cable now. It's just around that curve where double track starts. Runs from there to Mojave. Tunnels 14, 15, 16, and 17 all right in a row, right alongside Highway 58 there. Tehachapi Creek down in the bottom. And the curve oilers there. We tell people I'm out with that the first video I had that went over 100,000 views was the one about the curve oilers. Here's a long one. Longer. I've seen so many short ones today. well, that will conclude a very productive day of chasing trains with James Paquette. Anything you want to say to everybody?
It was just a wonderful day, and thank you, Mark, for all you've done. I really appreciate it. We'll do it again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, come on back. He said he'll bring his golf clubs
Yeah,
next
we'll do
time.
some golf. So.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. All right, well, keep shooting me the ideas. Drop them comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content, and we'll see you all later.
See y'all.